Welcome to Syrn Media Ventures Info Session. Today, we're featuring the Cine Storylines Lab. Thank you for joining us. We will begin in a second. Hey, Suze, I am so glad to have you with us today. How are you?
Hey, Elizabeth, so nice to see you. I'm really happy to be part of this project. We're extremely happy because I think you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. I'm very excited to talk about Cineconon. Just as you know, working with you guys has been a great pleasure for my creative partner and I think there's so much value in your programs. Would you
Oh,
mind
thank you.
speaking a little bit about yourself and your role at the lab?
Sure. Well, I'm Jesus Pimentel. I'm a filmmaker, and I am also the director of CNQL Lab. CNQL Lab is an organization that was originally founded in New York by a group of filmmakers. We were just out of the school. We all attended Columbia University at the time. And when we finished the school, we decided we were thinking and talking about what is next for us. What is the next step for us. So we thought and we decided, oh, let's try to make a lab on our own to continue the work of our projects. And we decided to do it in Mexico at the time. Me being Mexican and being from this area, we decided to do it here. The experience was a very successful experience. We actually, the films that we workshop in that summer, all of them went into production. One of them went into the to be into the Academy Awards for Student Academy Awards. Um, all the films were very successful, and we decided after that experience, we thought, this is something, this is a space that is needed
Hmm.
for up and coming filmmakers. So that's basically how it started as an organization, and what is the fund, the base of our philosophy of work and of our mission. Basically, is the idea is to support up and coming filmmakers, creating a space where they can come and do a revise of their scripts. Basically, what we do is we go through the revision of the scripts when they are ready, almost ready for for production, and that has become a very important tool for filmmakers and and screenwriters alike, and also for producers, as you have experienced yourself. Uh, After that, and most recently, we created a lab that is specifically for storylines, which is the beginning of the story.
Yeah, so actually let's talk a little bit about storylines. And I will say, speaking of, the history and how the lab came to be, I love that Cinechronon is founded by filmmakers and, I think it shows in the work. Can you talk specifically about the types of projects that you're looking for through Storylines Lab?
It's all kinds of projects. We really don't put any limits to that. Cineconol Lab is open to all kinds of narratives. What we look for in the project is that it has to contain a human scale, a humanistic scale to it. That's basically what we are supporting. And and the Storylines Lab is basically focused on stories or projects that are just starting to become a story. The narrative is still very young. Basically, most of or all the pictures, all the films that we know, they start with an idea, with a picture that you see somewhere, with a legend that you hear somewhere in where you're coming from, and or a story that is being in your family, like for different generations, and you want to talk about it. It's just an idea that is just, you know traveling in your mind and really hasn't had the opportunity to come up and to become a story. So what we do in these labs of storylines, we help the screenwriters to land that idea into paper and to start from this the basic idea. We transit with them through the a narrative format of a treatment. That's basically what we do.
Okay, so can you actually talk a little bit about that process of how you, within the guidelines of the program, you come in with them and you work with them to get from the that idea stage to the treatment? How is the program set up to help facilitate that process?
One of the things that has been very useful for us and for the screenwriters is to identify characters, first of all. They need to identify who the protagonist is because that is going to be the point of view of the film. That's for starters. Because very often we have projects in our own projects where we haven't really defined who is the protagonist of the story. And it's really important for us to define that as a first step because that is going to be the point of view of the film. That is basically going to do make the direction of what the story is going to be in that film. So that's one of the things. That's one of the first steps that we help define the screenwriter in our lab. That's basically the first. And after that, we start defining what are the antagonic forces and what is the conflict. We need to create conflict in order to create attention, in order to create drama. So it's not enough for you to have just an idea or a picture in your mind that you think is worth it to become a film. We need to find the conflict. And for that, what we create in the lab is basically workshopping with other filmmakers and start tossing ideas into the writer and say, how about this and how about that? And we start to give different options. In the end, the screenwriter needs to decide whose story is going to be and what is the direction he or she wants to take the story to.
Okay, that's
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm.
Is there an ideal filmmaker you're looking to support or an ideal level of filmmaker experience that you're trying to find for storylines?
We're open to all filmmakers in any stage of their career. We originally started to this as a space for first and second features, and then we realized that which is our focus, but we realized that many filmmakers, because we have had conversations with more established filmmakers, and they have told us, after the first film, most people will think we know how to do things because we went through this first experience, but it's not true. The reality is we still need that support from our colleagues, from our colleague filmmakers, and that's why we are now open to filmmakers in any stage of their career. What you need to do is really have the desire and the wish to have a better narrative of your film, to make it more engaging with the audience. That's basically what the type of filmmaker that we're looking for. That filmmaker that is not conformist and understands that his or her script needs more work, and that is humble enough to receive, you know, opinions and professional criticism from other filmmakers alike.
I mean, that's a very good, concise statement, to still have the humility that you did when you were making your first project so that you're open to learning and open to
Absolutely.
receiving support. Is there a particular budget range that you're looking for or audiences or anything like that? Simply humanist stories from humble filmmakers. Is that it?
That's basically what it is. We have received genre uh, films. We supported a couple of horror films, which in the end, the scale of the films is very humanistic. It really they talk about they talk through horror of very important issues, like motherhood, like sorority, like stuff like that, and that's why we supported those films. It doesn't matter what the budget is. it's all about the quality and the uniqueness of the story. Um, you probably have, seen through your experience also the type of films that we support. It needs to talk to the to the space that is very genuine in every one of us. If you hear the story that is really genuine and is talking about things that the filmmaker knows for sure, is not making up any experience that is not close to him or to her. It's that's where they really sell themselves to us, because it's what we support. It's just uniqueness in the voice of this filmmaker, and the desire of making a film that is close to his capacity as a human being, or his scale as a human being in the society.
Yeah. Is there a common mistake that you often see when people are applying for the lab? Something that you're like, oh, I wish they would notice this, and a common faux pas?
Something that will help people that might see this video is to know that specificity always helps. If you say, I know that I have this, I'm very happy with my script, but I know it needs help in this. I would love to go to the lab because I want to work on the narrative. I want to work in the arc of the characters. I want to work in I really don't understand who could be the protagonist because I like these three characters in my script. Be specific about why do you want to go into a lab like ours. And also something that always helps, and people tend not to be very aware of that, is we always ask, how do you find out about the lab? Because if they found out through somebody that is close to our lab, or that is related, or that is being part of our ex-participants, we know that they recommended for a specific reason. So if anyone applying to our lab says, I need the lab because of this, something very specific about my script, and somebody that is have gone through the lab told me, and is this person, and it's in the end what we are trying to select here is a family of filmmakers that they
Mm.
can in the future also be each other's support, because this career, it's a trade that you choose for something very specific, and you better know that whoever you're meeting right now in this point of your career is somebody you're going to be forever in your life. That person is going to be forever in your life, and you're going to be colleagues. You're going to become a family. And because making a film, an independent film, involves a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of life. You will see it at the end of your film. It's going to be 10 years from the beginning of the film. So that means that you're going to get involved with that person in a very personal level. He's going to be your director, your producer, but he's going to be your brother or your sister. And at the end of the road, at the end of our lives, this is what is valuable for us. So
Yeah.
we're making relationships that are going to be forever in our lives.
And for those people who have applied before and they may not have gotten in the first time, or
Mhm.
can they apply again? Can they repeat the
Please
project? Yes.
do something that goes with this. This is a very interesting question. Thank you for asking. Um, we we receive a number of applications, and then what we do, we have a number of readers that make the first cut. Let's say that first cut of 25 to 30 applications is what we send to our jury. The jury doesn't make a selection. The jury makes a curation, because something that is really important for us is that the narrative lines of all the projects can talk to each other.
Uh,
This is part of our success. If you arrive with your project at the same time that you're helping your fellow uh, screenwriter to solve his problems, this is an automatic, and it's a mechanism of your mind. You are in reality solving your problems or your narrative. And that's why we ask the jury to more than make a selection, to make a curation, So if you don't get into a cut this year, please try to apply next year or in the next time. It does, because it doesn't mean your that your project is not worth it. It's worth it, and it's very valuable to us, but probably didn't fit with the narrative that was selected this year. And if you make it into the 25, we normally advise people when they make the final cut, because it's important for them to know that their projects are important and are very valuable, and that in case they don't get into the final cut, don't get discouraged.
Mm.
You need to keep looking for other opportunities and come back to us anytime. And that's why also part of opening the Storylines Lab is one of the reasons, because sometimes we have very good projects, but they were really failing in something that was as basic as going back to storylines. So that's why we made it this way. We created this other lab.
That's amazing. For those who are applying to storylines, maybe they didn't get in last year. Um, are there any areas where you might be say, okay, this is some advice that you should take on your second application, maybe? Can they reach out to you guys for feedback or yes?
Absolutely, yeah. um, uh, if they are reapplying, they should contact us, and
Okay.
we can give a closer advice to them. um, and it's true, because it's we never make the selection. We always invite jury to come, because we want the jury to have a carte blanche, and they really can apply a criteria and say, this is the type of group we would like to create this year.
Makes
But
sense.
we always from our side can say, if this applicant only will have done this or say this or that, it will have a better chance. So yes, they can please reach out and contact us.
And the act of getting feedback on a rejected application is still a part of the process of writing. It's still feedback that helps get projects better. Um,
Absolutely.
how do you think storylines, the lab specifically, is going to be changed during the pandemic? What's going to be different?
It already did, because we originally had it planned to be an in-person lab, and we could have waited, because a lot of organizations did it. They waited to see, hoping that things were going to change. Our first big example was actually the Tribeca Film Festival, that decided, no, we're going to just do it, and they went online, and that was the biggest inspiration for us. And we decided, okay, well, let's launch all of our programming online. We already had made the selection process, and really, the pandemic, what taught us, that was a very strong lesson for us, is that the Storylines Lab worked very nicely online. And so we decided it's going to be always going to be online, because it's easier for everyone to attend. It's easier for us to bring amazing facilitators. Part of our mission is we bring facilitators that are very good academia, but also they have very good name in the industry, because we want for our participants to have the opportunity later on with those facilitators. They will be opening the doors for them. And we always send letters of recommendation. Like, let's say, whoever is with that facilitator this year, and we know this facilitator has openings and has opportunity to bring them into other organizations, into other labs, we always, speak on behalf of our selected participants, and try to open as many doors as we can.
That's
So because we know that at this point, many things have changed for a filmmaker. Now we all have to be looking for funding for filling up applications like forever. So once you get into our lab, we want to facilitate things on our end for you. We talk to Sundance, we talk to La Biennale, we talk to La Residence. We have very good contact, very good, to Torino. we have very good connections, and we say, well, these participants wants to get into Sundance, and I think it's the perfect profile for your lab. Please accept. It's a way. It's the way the things work, because once you realize you have this jewel of a project, this jewel of a participant, you want for him to be or for her to be successful. You want for your participants to succeed.
Yeah.
So it's better for us to open the doors for everyone, because it also is good for everyone. In the end,
Yeah.
it's worth it that you do.
It's really an investment in the project that you guys are making, and your human energy, your human capital, to help to make those projects happen. And speaking of, you mentioned funding a little bit earlier. I do want to ask for the filmmakers who are applying, is there a cost for them to apply?
There is a cost for them to apply. This last year we received funding from the Academy. We got the uh, Filmcraft grant. For us, it was a big thing, because it was the first time the Academy gave that outside of the U.S.
Wow.
And it was given to us and to the Toronto Film Festival in the area of, um, labs, and it was a great thing for us. But really, what it did for us, other than being linked to the Academy now, is that we had the opportunity to reduce the fee of participation for every one of them.
Okay.
So, but they still have to do. There's a fee for submitting an application, which it's been reduced also. And
Mhm.
all the participants accepted into our lab this year are going to have a grant
Okay.
of participation, thanks to the Academy, actually.
Okay. So this year there isn't the participation fee for applicants is reduced due to the academy, but is there still a cost that they have to pay to participate?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And how much does that cost usually? And this year?
Usually for the storylines is 1,500 US. It's a 10 days to 2 weeks lab, very intensive, very, I think, very productive. And
Yeah.
then we have a follow-up session 2 to 3 months later, where the participants will be presenting their advances and their notes, and hoping the first draft of the treatment. That's what
Okay.
we're looking for. And
Let's
and
talk let's talk about the mentors, because I think you mentioned the investment that you're making into the filmmakers and just how much you give as an organization. And I know some of what you're getting in fees is a part of just creating this setup for the lab. What kinds of mentors participate, and who would you say are some of the more notable mentors? You said, you like to make sure they're both academic, but also personable, and all of that. Who are some of the more notable mentors?
well, very proud of our mentors, because this is basically a relationship we develop with them. For some of them, we've been looking for them for quite a while, and and it's been hard for them to come, because they are very extremely busy people. But they finally have been able to come. We have, well, our one of our founders is Cristina Lazaridi. She's an Academy Award nominee screenwriter and professor at Columbia University, Princeton. Uh, we have Ana Sanz Magallon. Ana Sanz is from Spain. She has won up, I don't know, so many awards in Spain, the Goyas for Best Picture. Her films that she's been script doctor in the past few years have been submitted to the Academy for the Oscar. Brendan Ward, which is one of the founders of the film school in Poland. Está Elena Medina. Elena Medina has a wonderful curriculum also. She works a lot in TV series and films all over the world, but mostly in Europe. We have Sabrina Dawan, which is a professor at NYU. very dear person. She's an amazing writer and mentor, and very dear friend also. Uh, David Muñoz Pantiga, which he was part of the Storylines Lab last year. He is the screenwriter for Guillermo del Toro. We have our dear Simone Ling, which has an amazing roles in she plays an amazing role in both in the mainstream, but also in the independent, supporting independent films. She works for Sundance and for other organizations, really picking up good profiles for these other organizations to support and to help these new filmmakers to get into the wave. That's basically part of our job. uh, Pavel Hedge, which is the director he was also the founder, the director at the school in Prague, the School of Film in Prague. This These are just some of the mentors that we have, but we have invited producers, people are really high players in the industry that come for a master class, but really they become family. They are door openers for the filmmakers that attend our lab, and that's why
That's
we invite them
amazing.
also.
And I know there are many others who you've also had who are also people who I look up to as well, in addition to some of the people who you've mentioned. And so it's definitely a valuable experience.
Oh yes.
Do do you have any advice for how a filmmaker can get the most out of the Storylines Lab experience? Just if they are prepared in such a way, this is the way to get the best value from storylines.
Well, I think one of the things that everyone should have in mind in our labs, it is our labs most of all are a very safe place for any writer.
Mm,
Very safe place. It's a place where you can allow yourself to make any mistake.
mm,
Don't be afraid of proposing the most crazy idea about your film that has been lingering in your mind, and for shine as you haven't been able to share it with anyone. This is the place and the space to do it, to test it, to see how it works with other filmmakers. So the best advice that I can give to anyone is say, come to our lab with an open heart and open mind and a humble attitude, because this is a place where you will allow yourself to be vulnerable.
mm,
You can be yourself
mm.
and try to be yourself. Try to test any resources, any ideas, any crazy ideas that you may not be able to share with other people. Share. This is a good space to do it.
Mm.
Try it, test it. If it doesn't work, we are going to tell you. But how about if it works? You might have a jewel under your wing, and you don't know.
Speaking of a jewel, is there any success story that you can think of that applicants can look to as an example for a potential success to come from being in the lab?
Well, many. It's just you need to go to our website to see the films. Many of those films I was witness, they arrived being just a treatment. They left the lab being read just exactly as the movie we saw later on the screen.
Mm.
Um,
Mm. Do you think that Storylines provides a pipeline to the screenwriting, the main screenwriting lab?
yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
That's the idea. That's the hope that you will work enough with that seed of that idea to make it into treatment, and to bring it later on into our script revision lab to be really polished as the best possible way. We actually did to give access to new filmmakers. We actually did last year one Storylines Lab exclusively for the ex participants,
Okay.
so they could also prepare their work. And the idea and the hope is that this year some of those participants of the Storylines Lab are going to be submitting their scripts for revision, hopefully.
Wonderful. Jesus, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for telling us about the Storylines Lab and Cineconon Lab in general. We're so glad to have you. This information was incredibly helpful.
Hope so. Thank you very much. I hope this is of any help, and please look us in our social media. We will be very happy to be in touch with you.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us and being a part of Syrn Media's info session.